El Horrible. El Horrible and BeDabblin. Give them their props.
Let me add the core dip.
Hello, Mama.
I'm not going to lie. I could watch Tukey all day long.
Tukey's fantastic.
Tukey's amazing.
I'm sorry, could we talk Tukey a bit? I'm a Tukey guy.
Do you play with those breasts and like have fun with them?
Ray, I haven't stopped playing with these breasts since I put them on. Oh my God.
He's an idiot.
Hacka.
I did text that to Shuli, Vince, and BeDabbler. That this
And BeDabbler, who's that?
That's El Replay.
Following program is of adult nature and may be inappropriate for persons under the age of 18.
The following program is a adult nature. May not be suitable for some of my friends.
It's time for BeDabblin Live.
When you wanna know who's got the show, his friends ain't talking potato. You can call him on the phone. He lives across from Home Depot. BeDabblin Live with El Replay. 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 Start right now.
Greetings, dabblers, and welcome to BeDabblin Live. I am your host, 16-year-old YouTube sensation, broadcasting live from his mother's basement, high above the Rocky Mountains. My name is El Horrible. How are you all on this fabulous Saturday morning? We have a fantastic show in store for you today. The great Dr. Steve is in the house. I never thought, listening to Dr. Steve all these years, that I would ever actually have a show and then have Dr. Steve on as a guest. I never thought I would be texting with Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve is a wonderful man and a great addition to our universe. We saw Dr. Steve recently in Detroit. We'll talk about Detroit. Cardiff Electric is here. Of course, OJ is here. OJ, how are you?
I am great. I'm just getting pumped up to the music playing behind us.
Fantastic.
And, another great morning. I'm ready to go.
Yes, if you have a chance to get your own theme song, get it. And get it by a band called Day Trader in Greeley, Colorado. They're a ska core band and they rule. They're the ones who did my theme song. Thank you to them. Without any further ado, let me bring on the other two guests, Cardiff Electric.
Well, hold on. I'm about to come.
And the great Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve, how are you?
Okay, I'm finished.
I'm good, thank you. I took care of that before the show.
Oh, fantastic. Is that do you recommend that people do that? Is there a medical benefit to pleasuring yourself?
Yeah, there is some data that the more especially men my age ejaculate, the less likely it is that they'll develop prostate cancer. So
I told you.
See? Yes, exactly. Now, can you do it too much? Is there any truth in the theory that you could either have hairy palms or go blind?
No, if it interferes with meals, you probably have a problem. But other than that, no, it's good for you.
Are you saying if you're losing too much weight because you're not eating,
right?
Because you're constantly jerking off,
you're losing so much protein through your splooge. Yes, then you might.
What if you're like Cardiff Electric and pleasuring yourself is actually food prep for your meal?
That's true.
Yeah,
great question.
It's totally fine. Totally normal.
We've already started off on a disgusting area.
Well, that's my forte. Hey, I did want to say, I just noticed I made the opening. I never knew that. Was that just for today, or has it always been that way?
Yes, it's always been that way.
From DabbleCon. I remember that. I didn't know who you were. I sort of peripherally knew who you were, and I saw you at DabbleCon before the show live streaming. And then you grabbed me, and I went, wait a minute, are you live streaming? I was like, get the fuck away from me. I'm so sorry I did that. I was kind of shitty.
Please, no, you should have. Yes, because I was live streaming, and I wasn't even asking people. I think I remember I was like, hey, Kiki Loco, take this. And I gave him my camera, and he probably didn't want to be seen or anything.
It was really funny. It was ballsy as fuck. And then you did some BeDabblin stuff. And this was all, listen, it was right about a year. No, when was that?
February.
Yeah, it was February. So not a year ago. And look at how much has changed. I mean, Obnoxious John didn't have urine-soaked luggage at that point. Right. And now look at you guys. Cardiff was not yet the what was the award that you won? The Dabbler of the Year?
The Dabbler Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you very much.
Cardiff Electric Lifetime Achievement Award. It was called that.
Who's going to win it next year? No one. Line for life. The one and only.
Yeah, it's yours for life. So anyway, it's amazing how much shit has changed.
Yes, it is. It's
and I the other thing that cracks me up about that opening is when John says, BeDabbler, who's BeDabbler? And Carl just matter-of-factly says, oh, that's El Hillary.
Oh, that's El.
And it's like,
duh.
Like, how do you not know that? Right. Oh, that's El Hillary. So anyway, next question. That was funny.
Guys, if you want to call in,
sorry, I'm a fanboy. I'm fanboying out. I'm sorry.
We're fanboying out on you. We
fuck off
on you all the time. Guys, if you want to call and ask Dr. Steve a question, maybe you have a medical question or just a question in general. I mean, Dr. Steve has been, I know you've been in my life like well over 10 years. Like when did you first? Oh, of course. When did you first hop on? I guess the first show you hopped on was Opie and Anthony.
Correct.
Okay.
And then Ron and Fez came along. And but yeah, the thing with Opie and Anthony was back when they first started on Sirius XM, because at the time, all Sirius XM had for morning shows were those Tampa shows like Monsters of the Midday and stuff like that.
Right.
And you know, we were all like, when are you guys going to get Howard Stern? When are you going? And then they had this announcement, this Opie and Anthony. I remembered them from Bill O'Reilly after they got fired.
Right.
And so I listened to they had a little interview show weeks before they went on. And I was like, well, this sounds interesting. And I just fell in love with Opie and Anthony from the get-go, even though the beginning, if you remember, Sirius XM was a little rough, but It was all technical stuff. Well, anyway, they were very accessible back in the day, and they were on AOL Instant Messenger.
Right.
And I ran into Jim Norton on AOL Instant Messenger.
Really?
And yeah, I was just, hey, I love the show. And I remembered him from the Colin Quinn show, you know, where they
Tough Crowd.
Thank you. And so he said, are you really a doctor? And I said, well, yeah, I am. And he said, well, I've got a lump on my scrotum. Can I ask you a few questions about it? And so I answered his questions. The next day, he went on the air and said, yeah, I was talking to some doctor in Tennessee about this lump on my scrotum. And Anthony went, yeah, because, you know, we know all the best doctors are in Tennessee. And I was like, go fuck yourself. At that point, I was editor-in-chief of a national medical journal. I had all these publications in the national, you know, international medical literature. I was, you know, faculty at a decent university. I had a decent portfolio. So I called the show, and I think I got E-Rock, or it might have been Danny. I'm not sure who it was. I said, what is your fucking fax number? Because this was, you know, this was a long time ago.
Sure.
And so I faxed them my CV, you know, my resume. And I think they thought it was funny that I did that. And so they started calling me for stuff.
Yes.
Like, is it safe for E-Rock to do the cinnamon challenge? And I would say no. And he would do it anyway, you know, that kind of stuff. And then after a while, I started being on the air and et cetera. So October, sometime in September of 2007, I think it was, Opie we've got golden tickets for the weekend show, the Saturday Night Virus. If anybody's got an idea for a show, let us know. Well, Steve Carlisi, God rest his soul, was a good friend, and I knew if I emailed him, he would email me back.
Sure.
So I emailed him. I said, I got an idea. I had to make up a name just right then because I wanted to get it to him. I said, well, I will call it Weird Medicine. We'll talk about I'll tell weird medical stories, and I can answer questions from your audience that are all out of shape.
That is awesome.
He said, yeah. And he said, I like the idea a lot. Let me run it up the flagpole. And October 13th of 2007, we did our first show in New York. And I was sitting in Anthony's chair, and Anthony was there. He decided to show up with his girlfriend, Melinda.
Sure.
And I was freaking the fuck out because I'm going to do my first show on Sirius XM with Anthony sitting there, and I'm sitting in his chair.
That's awesome.
And, after it was over, I mean, it went way better than I could have imagined. I had like 20 topics. We got to 2 of them, and they were like, you got to quit doing topics. You got to start answering phone calls because the phone banks were just absolutely slammed. And I bumped my first guest, which was E-Rock.
Oh, there you go.
So I was legendary around there for that. It's like Dr. Steve came in, did one show, and he bumped E-Rock.
That's awesome. Well, E-Rock failed to appear on WATP.
Yes, he did.
Or this past week. So you definitely.
Yeah, well, he had a good reason, but anyway.
Oh, I had no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, but So Anthony came up to us afterward and said that's the best first show I've ever heard. And the sad thing is we never got any better after that. We did a great first show, but our 10,000th show is still no better than the first one was.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so you know for a fact that October 13th, 2007 was your first show?
It was the 12th or the 13th, yes.
The 12th. Okay, because I kind of want to go back and take a listen because I'm sure I've heard it, but I don't remember that. But that's crazy. So you're actually coming up on anniversary.
We should be doing that on a Foundations of the Dabbleverse.
Yes, we should.
You want to?
I think we should. I think we should cover that.
I have photographs from that night. I don't have any video. Video wasn't a thing. I think I had a flip phone with a camera on it.
Yes, flip phones. Oh well, no, they what was that other camera everyone was carrying around for a while?
That I did have one of those.
It was like,
that rectangular thing.
Yeah, what was that?
I
didn't have one, but I remember. Caller, thank you for waiting. You're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Hey, speaking of Anthony Cumia, can the doctor give us any updates on what's going on with him in his current condition?
Great question, JT.
It is a great question. I don't know what he has said, so I don't know what I could say. If you tell me what he has said, I can comment on that. But I don't, I can't violate any sort of confidence. But what has he told everybody?
I think he's only alluded to a heart issue.
Okay.
But no specifics. So maybe it's better you don't.
Yeah. But is he all right?
I have every confidence he's going to be fine.
Okay. Is he still in the hospital?
I don't.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Sorry, JT. Good question, but we can't really.
It's a great question. It will. All of this will be answered in the fullness of time. Believe me.
Yes.
Yes. We'll learn all about it at the funeral.
Fuck.
Yes.
Is Anthony
at my funeral?
Is he in hospice care? Is that why he's talking to you?
That's why I know so much about it.
Exactly. Visit him every day.
God, what is that like working in hospice? Like that has to just be the most depressing.
Well, I do hospice about 10% of what I do. I'm actually a medical subspecialist called palliative medicine.
Okay.
And it's we deal with people with advanced illnesses from the beginning of their illness all the way to the end, whether they're cured or if they go into hospice. So we often have that conversation. But I mean, it's okay. Here we go. This will help with this. So anyway, hospice. So it's very rewarding, actually. I did primary care for many, many years and then did this on the side and then was board certified in my specialty and started practicing it full time. And it's very rewarding because people thank you every day for the things that you do because nobody else is doing the stuff that we do. Doctors are just as scared of dying as everybody else is.
Sure.
So I've sort of dealt with my mortality, and it's an easier conversation for me. And I don't want to get too heavy, but I was kind of called to do this. And if you're my mom had a really horrible, to this day, the worst death I've ever seen. And it inspired me to do this because I didn't want anybody else's mom to go through it. Exactly. I didn't want anybody else's mom to go through what mine did.
I do remember you saying that.
I love to masturbate.
All right, just something inappropriate.
I do remember, though, you saying that you went into the hospice area of medical because of your mom.
That's correct.
What was her condition?
She had a stomach cancer called linitis plastica, and back then they really didn't know what. This is in the 80s. They didn't really know what to do for her.
Right.
So she was. I mean, it was really bad. She had like 4 different diverting ostomies. In other words, she had so many bowel obstructions they kept operating on her to open it up, and they were just open to the outside. And the last 2 weeks, she was basically begging to die. And you know, if you're called to do something, if you don't do it, you end up in the belly of a fish. Just ask Jonah. You know, for the Bible fans out there. So anyway.
Well, we appreciate you.
I'm sorry, I just dragged the show down.
No,
it's bummer.
It's fascinating to me, and I appreciate people like you. I have had
he's a fucking idiot.
I've had relatives in hospice care, and yeah, you do. All you end up doing as the family is thank the doctor because no one else, like I couldn't do that job. Like,
yeah.
I'm so glad there are people like you, Dr. Steve, because if everyone was like me and Cardiff and OJ, nothing would ever get done.
Well, I'm right here with you, though. That's the weird thing, you know.
Well, yeah, every time you do spend some time in a hospital, you see a lot of people that like, thank God that person's there.
Right.
Like even the guy that's cleaning up the shit.
Oh, yeah.
In the
especially
hospital. Like,
that one.
Especially that guy. Like the fact that he's there or she's there. The nurses that do stuff, it's incredible what people have that calling, and it's got to be a calling.
Almost everyone in that works in the hospital has probably been put in that position where they have to clean up somebody's shit.
Oh yeah, well,
except that motherfucker in the parking lot. Why is it $23 to park? Why?
He's probably had to clean up.
Hey, get the hospital I worked at. The employees had to pay for parking.
Wow,
really?
Crazy.
Yes. Well, isn't an aspirin like $500 in a hospital? So I think $23 parking is probably okay.
Yeah, I can't defend any of that shit.
Yeah. Mason in Portland, thank you for being a member or becoming a member. I appreciate that, buddy. And
you know what I forgot? I forgot to mention, oh God, Bijan Freeze. What was that guy's name?
Eugene the Bijan Freeze.
Thank you. Yes, he gifted memberships on both channels last night. Cardiff Electric and BeDabblin.
Thank you,
whoever you are.
Yes, thank you to whoever you are, Eugene. And there's Eugene Neil Breen. Thank you for the $2. Bark. Can I go on a walk, please? Yes, you're a good boy, Eugene. Caller, you're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
I guess Dr. Steve.
How are you doing today?
You've got. Great. I wanted to ask, we did start off a little bit of a heavy topic.
Yeah.
I've had a grandfather, 2 uncles, and my dad have had both early onset dementia.
Okay.
Is there any actual tests you can check? Because I'm kind of, is that hereditary?
Well, let me,
things to look out for?
So you're asking for yourself. You're thinking, when's my turn?
Right. So here's the thing about screening tests. We could develop a screening test, say, for Huntington chorea, right? That's what Woody Guthrie had. The thing is, why would you want to do that unless you just want to know, are you going to pass it down to your kids? Because otherwise, we can't fix it. So knowing that it's coming, it's like, just knowing that the train is coming down the track and you can't get off of it. So I'm, if you'll email me, I'll send you some stuff. that there may be some genetic testing that your family can do that, but it's not common for dementia like that to run in families, but there are a couple of familial versions. But just go to drsteve.com, click contact and email me, or you can, I give out my email. I don't care. It's drsteve202@gmail.com. And email me, I'll get you some info. Okay.
Now, is there anything to oh, sorry, caller. My father is also suffering with dementia right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. Well, you would know if you ever listen to me when I talk to you. Fall asleep. Laugh at me.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Is there anything?
Nothing.
Sorry.
Is there anything to the theory keeping your brain engaged?
Yes.
Longer kind of fights that off.
Yeah, there's
creating potato stuff on the internet.
It's just like being a disgusting fat body. If you're a couch potato, you're at more of a risk of having physical ailments and
You're
keeping
screwed, Cardiff.
keeping your mind.
You're a literal potato.
True. I have no hope.
I'm sorry. That was an unfortunate metaphor. Sorry. But there are some data that show that certain executive functions, if you practice them, and I think Sudoku is one of them, that can reduce or delay the onset of dementia. So,
the Opster should be in good shape then. Caller, what do you want to ask?
Well, I was going to say, for what Steve just brought up earlier, was the reason I wanted to ask is, my dad and one of my uncles both started showing signs in their early mid-50s, and I'm turning 40 in a week. So I'm kind of thinking I don't have the super amount of time to prepare for that if that's an eventuality kind of thing. Yes, thank you.
Listen, if they have familial Alzheimer's disease, if you have a parent that had a mutated gene, then each child has a 50% chance of inheriting it. And you can see a geneticist for that. Or just, again, email me. I'll get you the info. Hell, I'll even send the test in for you if you want, if you can't get your primary care doc to do it. And I would be very interested in helping you with that. Because it could, listen, you can flip a coin and get heads 10 times in a row. And the coin is still a fair coin, so it could be... what happened to your family could absolutely just be, shitty chance. But the important reason for you to get the screening test for the genetic screening is to know whether you're passing that down to your children. If that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, yeah. Email me. I'll get you some info.
Anything to this, Dr. Steve Seamox?
No
Fake
problem.
sugar. I assume he's talking about aspartame and Splenda. Does that contribute to dementia?
I was always one of those people that said aspartame is the most studied food supplement on Earth, and the vast majority of the data is either slightly negative or slightly positive, which makes you think that it probably doesn't have any effect. There's a new study out that I have not had a chance to read yet that may have some negative effects, but any negative effects aspartame has going to be pretty frigging, rare and low level, because we would really know about it by now, because everybody is drinking Diet Cokes and Diet Sodas and stuff like that. Aspartame in so many things.
That's a good point. Yeah, you would think like there would be way more cases. Yeah.
Yeah, we would know if it was a big effect. We would know about it. But if you think about it, what is aspartame? It's just a dipeptide. It's 2 amino acids clunked together.
Yeah, obviously.
Duh.
Okay.
But I have a study. I don't want to make you sound like a fool, Dr. Steve. But I have a study in front of me right now. If you can hear, I'm reading it. Everybody who's ever consumed aspartame eventually dies.
No.
100%.
Eugene the Bijan Freeze, thank you for the $2 EWO Eugene World Order.
I'll make a drop for that, I guess.
Yeah.
EWO.
What were you gonna say, Potato?
I said I'll make a drop for that. I don't
No,
know.
before I interrupted you with the Eugene.
I eat cum? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Voltaire 325, thank you for 199. Good morning. Wake up. Oh, God, white people. Stop it. Caller, you're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Turn down your radio.
John.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can now.
There we go. Sorry, you're on speakerphone. Hey, Dr. Steve, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I miss Howard Stern yelling at people for being on a shitty phone.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's not going to get better because my voice sounds like shit.
It's very mellifluous.
I had. Well, it is. That's kind of why I'm calling. I think my lungs are full of fluid.
Oh.
A week ago, came down with this cold, and or whatever it is. Actually, I didn't get it diagnosed, but my doctor was Jewish and went away to Israel for a week, and then was conveniently also gone for Yom Kippur. So I had to go to a clinic to get it treated, and I think they only gave me like a Z-Pack, a steroid, and some cough medicine.
Well, that's all.
And now it's been like a week later. I've run out of all my meds.
Yeah.
Call the AIDS brigade, you junkie fanook.
Hey, let me ask you something. So, is the predominant symptom with what you've got cough?
Yes.
Okay. And do you ever cough so hard that you
it makes
either come close to puking or
develop a hemorrhoid?
Or develop a hemorrhoid?
No puking. No.
Okay. What I'm wondering is if you have just racking cough episodes, because you could have had whooping cough.
Yes.
And whooping cough is high.
Usually I was having like phlegm.
Oh, you talk.
But now it's all like clear for the most part.
Okay. I'm just fucking with you. Yes.
So our phone does have a slight delay, just so everyone is aware.
Okay, it's fine. I'm just fucking with them. It's I'm sorry. I don't want to ever make anybody regret calling me. So you could have had whooping cough, and if you did, the inflammation in your lungs will last around 4 to 6 weeks, even after you killed the bacterium with the Z-Pack. That's the problem with whooping cough, which is why I do recommend adults get vaccinated for pertussis. The pertussis vaccine is pretty effective. You guys may remember when Anthony, when he was still working at SiriusXM, had whooping cough. And I, at that point, I emailed some of the higher ups and said, you've got to mandate. And I'm not a big mandate person. Particularly, well, we can talk about other vaccines that I'm really not in favor of mandating, but
we don't need this channel taken down.
Okay, right. I was just going to make a statement about ivermectin that would get you taken off just to fuck with your channel, but I won't do it.
Oh, wonderful.
But so I said, you guys really at least need to consider having company-wide pertussis vaccine, at least have them available, because if this sweeps through SiriusXM, you're done for 6 weeks.
Sure.
All of your employees will not be able to be on the air for a big chunk of that time, even if they get treated quickly. So it's a rough one. So that may be what happened. Definitely follow up with your provider. If you really feel like your lungs are full of fluid, then a chest X-ray might be in your future for sure.
All right, thanks.
Cool.
Okay, man. I hope you feel better.
Feel better. Thanks for the call.
Obviously, I'm having allergies today. They're just killing me today. Sorry, my voice sounds like shit.
No, you sound wonderful, and thank you for doing this, Dr. Steve. It's great so far.
Thank you.
Kenneth Pogue, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Thanks for the Saturday content. Love the channel. Love you, Kenneth Pogue.
I want to give you another compliment, BeDabbler.
Please.
Trucker Andy, I was talking to Trucker Andy.
Yes.
And he said, I was watching BeDabblin live with El
Hello.
Horrible.
Hold on 1 second, caller.
And he said, it's just like Saturday cartoons for adults now.
Yes, that's awesome. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. So thank you, Trucker Andy.
This not so much like Saturday morning cartoons. This is more like a funeral, but I
Oh,
apologize.
sure.
Yeah, this is like when you woke up and there's like a major news story and they took over all the networks on a Saturday morning. What the fuck?
But this is great. This is fascinating to
I
me.
remember when Kennedy got shot, and this is horrible. I was a little kid. I was so pissed off because they preempted Star Trek that.
Oh,
God,
how
I was
dare
mad.
they?
I know.
Mike G, thank you for the $2. Do you know how Anthony is? Any updates? So we did kind of talk about that a little before. I do remember, and people are saying in the chat, he said that he had a blockage.
Okay.
On Twitter, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he did, I can talk a little bit about what a blockage is.
Sure.
And we all know that Anthony has a history of cardiac stuff. He's talked about that multiple times on the air.
Yes.
And so if he had a blockage in one of his coronary arteries, so you'd think, the heart pumps blood around, it should be not need anything other than that. It's full of blood all the time.
Constantly flushing like the lines and all that kind of
It
stuff.
just doesn't work that way. The heart it has to perfuse itself first. It does it first. So as the heart pumps, blood goes out of the aorta on the left side of the heart. And there are a couple of ostia, there are holes where the coronary arteries attach. And so under pressure, blood is forced through those arteries into the muscle of the heart. That's what keeps it alive. And they can, you've got a circumflex, a left main, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You're making me feel like I'm back in anatomy and physiology classes.
Fuck me. So anyway, there are these blood vessels that feed the heart, and if they get blocked, then you can have chest pain, and if they get blocked enough, then no blood goes to that part of the heart, and that part of the heart muscle dies. We will call it a myocardial infarction. And the way you detect a myocardial infarction through blood is that when those heart tissues die, they have certain enzymes that are only found in the heart, because the heart it's a crazy muscle. I mean, just think about it, just beating constantly your whole life and never stopping until you die. And so there are special enzymes in there that when the heart muscle dies, are released into the blood, and you can detect them in the blood. So what you do with that is you go in and you do a cardiac catheterization, which is where you take a tube and you stick it up in the artery in your groin, work it up into the heart, and then the cardiologists are so good that they can actually stick that thing through the heart into the coronary artery and then slip a stent down there and open it up. It's amazing what those guys can do.
God.
We haven't even got to the gross stuff.
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Oh, Dr. Steve,
we could talk about
stint in the hospital.
Hemorrhoids.
Surgery was my favorite place to. I love.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Before I went to school, I probably would have puked and passed out. But after learning about how amazing the human body is, surgery and seeing the body cut open and all the insides and parts taken out and parts put in, loved it.
Yeah, it's amazing. And even then, we have a hard stop on how long we live, Right. If it was just a matter of if we just had enough knowledge, we could solve any medical problem. No, it doesn't work that way, at least not with the technology we have now. Those people in the Ural Mountains that smoke cigarettes and drink vodka and live to be 120 years old, the reason they live so long is they never get sick. They're never seen by a doctor. It has nothing to do with modern medical anything. They just don't get sick. So if you want to live forever, don't get sick.
That's crazy. Caller, thank you for your patience. You're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Hi, Dr. Steve. I had a question because you seen Lady Di kind of deteriorate firsthand.
Yes.
So when I see John, and I have a lot of experience with firsthand experience with crippling alcoholism, and it wasn't till I started mixing it with benzodiazepine that I really hit a rock bottom where, I'm just blackouts, just like horrible. Like I haven't drank in years, and that's awesome.
Congratulations.
It was like, when I see John, when I see John, like, I don't know, man, that's dangerous. I think benzos alone just destroyed Jordan Peterson. If you see him pre-benzos, he looks pretty normal and, like, smart. Now he's a lunatic yelling on Twitter. But, I don't know. I just think like, is John just like, I don't know what kind of end game there. I mean, people always like, oh, he's going to die. I don't know that, but he's really going to deteriorate, I think, after a little bit.
I've never examined him. I don't know what medications he's on, any of that stuff. I can speak to your experience. And did you say you're sober now?
Oh, he hung up. Yes,
he hung up. Okay.
He said he has stopped.
Congratulations on your sobriety. That's awesome.
Yes, good job.
That is awesome.
Mixing alcohol and benzodiazepines is very problematic. In that they both, benzodiazepines like Valium and Xanax and stuff like that, Ativan, they are both central nervous system depressants, and they're both very habit forming. And what Lady Di had, now listen, I didn't examine her, but I'm quite convinced that I'm right about this, is she had a thing called Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. And that is it's a neurologic disorder that's caused by lack of a certain vitamin called thiamine or vitamin B1. And it causes this thing called Wernicke encephalopathy and Korsakoff amnesic syndrome, doesn't matter. But and it causes an alcohol-induced form of dementia. And it's irreversible, and it's a real problem. And I have not talked. I invited her son to come on today. When you sent me the link, and I haven't heard back from him. So he's a pretty private guy, really, and he'll raise money for her for pens and coffee and stuff like that, but every once in a while. But last I heard, she was in a nursing facility, still thinking she was in the Navy, which she was very proud of her service, even though I think she was not honorably discharged, if I remember correctly.
Was not the best sea woman or whatever you call it.
Right. But she was very proud of her service, and so
she went
that's
like AWOL or something because she wanted to go hang out or something.
Maybe. But that's where she thinks she is now. From what I hear, is she thinks she's on a Navy ship. So
still, because that was years ago.
It was years ago, and I don't. That's the last I heard.
Oh, that's the last you've heard. Yes.
Yeah.
But I know. What was it? Beige Frequency or someone did a great documentary. It was like a 3-part series on Lady Di.
I would watch that. He's a really good documentarian.
I think it was Beige Frequency, and at the end they had your interview with her son Peter. Right, his name was Peter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, shit. Okay, I do need to watch that.
Yeah, so I think
because it's about me.
Yes, exactly. You are in there, and it's just fascinating. Yeah, Lady Di was so much fun to listen to. Obviously, like what happened is tragic.
Yeah.
And we've said this so many times with Whack Packers, and again, I'll throw the Opie and Anthony Whack Packers in there, the Lady Di's and Bobo. They all reached their peak of success at a time when they couldn't profit from it, really.
Yeah, that's true.
So
isn't it?
When you get a chance to support people like Wendy or Lady Di or Bobo, send them some money. Don't send Kevin Brennan any more money. Send it to these people. They need it, please.
There you go.
They did so much for us. They've given us so much content. They've given us so many laughs. Give them a little
That's
bit.
A really good point.
And continue to, if you're looking up their stuff and still watching stuff from back in the day on YouTube, I mean, it still continues to go on. And it was the best content, in my opinion, were the Whack Packers on any of the shows.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, when it comes to people like that, and this will be kind of inside for some, but Dr. Steve, do you still talk to the Brooklyn Blowhard from Ron and Fez?
I talked to him this morning, tried to get him to come on.
Yeah?
He is ill and getting doing some rehab, and he didn't want to come on, but he would like to sometime in the future.
That would be
He's got some amazing stories of those days. There's no question about that.
He does. All right, Cardiff is going on a ship break. Yeah, the Brooklyn Blowhard he was a regular caller into the Ron and Fez show.
Right.
Just exactly as the name says, he was a blowhard. Really
from Brooklyn.
Reminisce. He was from Brooklyn. He used to reminisce about the 60s and 70s back in the day. This was a quarter, and things are such shit now. And I used to love him. So yeah, tell him I'm a big fan, and definitely give him my email and tell him anytime. I would love to have him on. But how's he doing? Because he used to have.
He sounded great today.
Yeah.
He's had his moments.
Mm-hmm.
But he really sounded good today.
Awesome.
Good.
I'm this close to getting him to come on.
Oh, that's okay. No, please. I would definitely love to have him and you on together.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
I've hung up on him several times in anger over the years.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But we're still buddies.
And
I'm looking. Stephen Weishaupt says, please ask him what his IQ is. Stuttering John says his has gone up.
Yes. So I actually played a clip. I think I still have it, but back in 1997, John said that his IQ was 136.
Oh.
And now he is claiming it is
165.
160, 165, somewhere in that area. Ballpark.
Sure. It all depends on which test you do. There are a bunch of different IQ tests out there. So if we were ever going to do, and I have offered on my show, I did on my live stream, and I've offered privately to, if he trusts me and say Kevin, because he gave a 10-to-1 offer to Kevin, my 10,000, meaning John, against Kevin's 1,000.
Well, it's a blind mic.
Well, okay, so he did it with both of them then, because I heard him do it to Kevin.
My God, he's going to be out a lot of money.
So that's a great bet to fund. I told Kevin, even if it's 50-50, let's just say it's 50-50, that's still a good bet if your odds are 10-to-1.
Right, yeah.
So I give Kevin the 1,000.
Right.
And if he wins, he gets 10 from John, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin gives me 2 or 3 and he keeps the rest. He didn't have to do anything but take the test. So but I would even take myself out of that, because that gives me a bias. I would take myself out of there, find an escrow company that would hold the money, and I could get the test administered. They'd have to agree on which one they'd want to do. I would recommend either Stanford Binet or the Waze 4 or whatever. One of the two of those. These online ones are crazy. You can prep for those.
Yeah, and I don't trust an online IQ test. No. Especially a free one, because then at the end it's like, hey, you're a genius. Now you should pay for this one and really find out you're
I've fallen for that bullshit more than once, which must mean my IQ is pretty low.
Jimmy I, thank you for being a member for 1 month. Rest in peace, Kumia. Booze, testosterone, not good for the arteries.
I disagree. I think.
Dr. Chow's asking if Dr. Steve is a real doctor. Thank you for being a member for a month, Dr. Chow.
Who is not a real doctor and not really Asian. He's been fooling everyone, pretending to be an Asian doctor. The most
Chow could be food. Doctor. He's Dr. Food.
Dr. Food, that's true. I just assumed he was Asian. Chow. But that's how my mind thinks, I guess. Shannon Duffy, thank you for the $2. Dr. Steve takes high Chinese HGH and weak testosterone. No, he does not. That's Vince, the evil lawyer, Tuki's attorney.
I mean, Dr. Steve is looking Vince? Pretty ripped.
No. So
Vince does.
There's the chatter that writes every week that Vince takes Chinese HGH and weak testosterone.
That's so random.
It is very random. Dave Daffler, thank you for the $2. Give blood before drinking, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of people feel that. But the giving blood makes you lightheaded, and then the drinking makes you more lightheaded. So
sure. Captain Kickass, thank you for the $5. Dr. Steve, why do dentists and eye doctors now take BP? Is there a legit reason, or are they padding the office visit bill? BP for a cleaning?
They shouldn't. Okay, yes.
BP.
Blood pressure. They're taking blood pressure. They're not charging you for the blood pressure. What they're wanting to do is make sure that they're not yanking a tooth on someone whose blood pressure is 220 over 120, because that's malpractice.
Oh, okay.
So
my doctor just gives me baths and takes pictures, but I've never had my blood pressure taken at the dentist. Keel, thank you for being a member for 1 month. Dr.
You are
Steve.
only 16, so that makes sense.
That's true.
Very youthful appearance.
Dr. Steve, his coverage of Lady Di was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The word I think I put this up on my Patreon, and I'd love to get it out there somewhere. There was this guy, BPS Radio, and he had a show called The Radio Freaks, and he would have half comedian, half porn star. So I'd do an hour with a comedian, half an hour with a porn star. And it was a fun show. He asked me to call screen for him because we both use the same call-in studio software for our call screening. And he, because he was going to have Colin Quinn on, and he wanted to seem all highfalutin, so I called Colin. Hey, I'm call screening for Radio Freaks tonight, and he's like, "What, Dr. Steve? Why are you call screening?" It's like, I don't know. So anyway, I get in there, and it's the worst thing that I've ever done to anybody, other than chasing John off Cardiff's feed that night with the Myrtle puppet.
Oh yeah,
was I called Diana Urbani. And I said, "Do you want to go on the air with Colin Quinn?" She said, "Yeah." What would I?
Her boyfriend.
So I put her up as Diane from New Jersey, and Brian couldn't resist taking a call from a woman.
Oh, sure.
Because a girl. And so he clicked, and she monologued for about 20 minutes. Just, Lady Di stuff. And by the end of it, she's like, so Carl, how are you? And he just went, "Guys, I gotta go." And he was so excited about having Colin Quinn on there, and I just completely fucked it up. I put the recording on my Patreon. I'll ask Brian if maybe we could put it on YouTube. It was pretty funny if you know the background.
Oh, sure.
And I was just dying laughing.
That's awesome. Yeah. I used to love Lady Di's. How are ya?
Yeah. How are ya?
I think John says that too. How are ya? Do you think there's something to the fact that all these people that we watch online have so many similarities? Like a lot of them seem to be drunks. They seem to have the same kind of crutches as far as like language and.
Well, we're all consuming the same shit. We're all influenced by the same shit. It's just such an incestuous universe. So.
It is. It's crazy incestuous. Radish Diff, thank you for being a member for 3 months. TWOFKB, give yourself a bell, Doc, please, and thanks.
Bye, Brennan.
I do have to say, there's nothing better than going for a shit, coming back to the studio, and using your weird medicine Bristol stool scale mouse pad to see what you've just accomplished.
I'm always staring at it because I use your mouse pad, Dr. Steve. I do use your
nice
mouse pad.
So do I.
But I cannot drink out of a mug.
Yes.
That has samples of shit on it. I refuse.
What you do with it is you fill it up with coffee in the morning, you sit on the pot and take your morning dump, and then you can rate your shit based on the Bristol stool scale rate. That's what it's for.
I believe the shit belongs inside the mug, not outside.
I think I'm shameful of my duty. I never look at it, and that's a mistake, right? I should be looking at it.
That is a mistake. I can tell you that.
I don't think I've seen it in years. I don't want to. I flush it as it's coming out.
Oh no, I wish I could watch it coming out. I'm fascinated by my shit.
If it comes, well, I'm not going to talk for Dr. Steve, but from my own experience, what I know about poop, if it comes out smooth and just a nice color brown, you should be good. If you have a dark color or a weird colored poop, you should definitely go to the doctor.
What does it mean when your poo tastes like cinnamon, Dr. Steve?
Probably ain't all cinnamon.
It's got, I don't know.
I'd be worried.
Real. Thank you for the $10.
Don't taste your fecal matter. Smelling it is sufficient. Looking at it. See, the thing is, I have a bidet, and so I don't ever see my shit anymore.
See, there you go.
Oh, the bidet is the greatest thing in the world. Everyone needs a bidet. Stop wiping your ass with toilet paper, and you'll solve so many of the world's rectal problems.
I agree 100%.
Don't you still need to wipe afterwards? Just to
well,
dry yourself off?
Yeah.
I've never used a bidet.
Now the really fancy ones have a fan and they'll blow you dry. But
my God.
You could just use a tiny little few squares just to pat, or if you do like me and you're doom scrolling Reddit, you just sit there until you dry off and then you just get up. It's that clean. I mean, it's completely clean. There's nothing on the toilet paper. if you do it right. And Moen makes a toilet seat.
Moen bidets, ninja.
I knew that was coming. King of
I
all
surround
backs.
myself with Moen bidets.
That's what. Why do you think I bought the Moen one?
Steve?
I'm sorry.
Does yours have the red knobs?
No. No, it just has one knob forward and back, and it's got a vaginal cleaner, for the ladies, and that works pretty good for the front of your taint too. So I use the vaginal setting.
Wonderful. Everyone go out and buy a bidet. But yes, I'm with you, Dr. Steve. I do buy Moen because of King.
Yes, as soon as I saw they had Moen, it was like, well, I have to buy that brand.
Yeah, street cred.
KOAB, he was the greatest.
He is the greatest. He's actually still a part of Howard. He's one of the guys that Howard still takes calls from.
Well, that's good. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And if you do want a bidet, go to drsteveshop.com. Is that the right website, Dr. Steve?
Stuff.drsteve.com.
Stuff.drsteve.com.
You should
go
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And buy a bidet.
Yes.
Riles, thank you for the $10. Dr. Steve, you don't come to BeDabblin Live and talk to a man like Cardiff Electric like that.
Right.
Yeah, I get the Godfather reference. I'm sorry.
Dayla, thank you for being a member for 5 months. Eugene Lives Matter. Yes, Eugene. I don't know where this Eugene came from, but he's a cutie pie and everyone seems to love him. Dave Daffler, thank you for the $2. Dr. Steve, is it okay to pierce my vast deference?
No, don't do that.
Ugh.
Don't do that.
Can you show us your vast deference, Dr. Steve?
Well, there's a vast difference twixt. Anyway, it's no, I can't. Mine has been removed. So I had a vasectomy, and I said, take that shit out of there. Don't just clip it off, because I didn't trust him. So the vas deferens is the tube that goes from the testicle to the inside of the body, and it transports mature sperm cells to the semen, and that's what you cut when you have a vasectomy. They can do a vas resection, or they can just cut it and turn it over on itself and burn it and clip it and do a bunch of stuff. The old joke in the urology circles was, if you take two pieces of vas deferens and put it at either side of the room, they'll figure out a way to grow back together. So you got to be really careful.
Oh, it's so gross. Jason Den, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Can I get FKB? Bye, Brennan.
Bye, Brennan.
And thank you to Vaping Dago with 20 gifted memberships.
Whoa, thank you.
Vaping Dago.
So much Vaping Dago. Caller, you are on the air with Dr. Steve. Hello.
Hello, where are you there?
Washington, you're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Who's on my party line?
I'm going to try and connect you one more time. You're on the air with Dr. Steve. They're not there. All right.
This is going great.
Dr. Steve, I had another question, actually, that someone in my family had asked.
Okay.
And it goes back to the hospice thing. They had a relative in hospice, and as they were going, they just were kind of looking through this person and saying no, 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 until they literally died. Are those things kind of common in hospice?
You mean the
person dying? They were
dying. Yes.
Past my relative and just going no, like no, like I'm not ready. Like that was the person. That's what
so they see something coming for them.
Right. Is that,
or maybe they saw something coming for their family members.
Sure.
Coming behind them, some creepy.
Sure. No, I don't. I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
And they're like, no, leave them alone.
Is that kind of common in a hospice thing?
Yes.
People start.
Delirium is very common. At least that's what we'll call it.
Right.
Listen, I have an open mind about this stuff. I just haven't seen any evidence that there's anything other than it's just delirium or weird circuits in the brain. They actually did a study on people who had near-death experience. And people always commonly will say that they're floating above their body, looking down at what's going on around them, right?
Sure.
So what they did was they put a sign, one of those red marquee signs, up on a shelf that the only way you could see that is if you were floating from the ceiling.
Okay.
And it had a certain word on it, and it was obvious. It was bright red. You couldn't miss it. And 0% of people that reported floating out of their body reported that word. So that's what made me. That's when I started thinking, okay, maybe this is just an illusion.
Well, that on the side note, that happened to one of my friends. He was in a really bad car wreck. He flipped his truck like many times, and yes, it was hilarious. And that was his memory. He was up in a tree looking down on the accident.
Yeah,
and then his friend that was with him kind of like shook him and brought him back.
Yeah,
so.
That's something. There's a real commonality to that experience, and whether it's because we've talked about it so much that people, if they have some sort of otherworldly, brain experience, that they expect that, so that's what happens. Just like we didn't start seeing aliens with elongated heads and big eyes until the Outer Limits episode. That had aliens like that, and all of a sudden Barney Hill sees aliens like that. Now everybody sees them like that. So I don't know. Some of this is just common mythology that we have, and some of it is neurologic.
Right. I mean, obviously people said like these things could just be the brain trying to cope with what is going on and trying to calm your body down or whatever is going on. I'm actually getting some text messages and I want to read this one because I've actually had this happen to me. Hi, Dr. Steve. Love you. My problem is whenever I use an elevator, my feet don't feel fully grounded for like 30 minutes after. Any idea what that is?
Sure. Most likely what's going on is you're familiar with the inner ear, right?
Yes.
The inner ear, the semicircular canals. It's an accelerometer that was created by nature so that we could know where our head is in 3 dimensions, right?
Crazy.
And know when we are accelerating. We didn't develop accelerometers until maybe 100 years ago, and even those ones were shitty. The ones we have now are pretty good. They're in our phones. But so there is an accelerometer in your head.
Yes.
You know this because if you spin on a bar stool, now the fluid that's in there starts going in the opposite direction, and the little sensors in there sense it. That says that you're spinning in this direction. When you stop, the fluid continues to spin for a while, which is what we call being dizzy. So when you are, remember, this is an accelerometer, and so when you're changing your velocity, in other words, you're in an elevator and you're being pushed up to the top, you're accelerating in the up position, so the fluid is being pushed down. And this person may have just some experience that when they get off the elevator and those fluids start to rise back up, he's just got a little bit of lingering neurologic sensing that he's accelerating in the opposite direction now, because now that acceleration is over. Does that make sense at all on any level? I don't think I explained it very well, but
no, it does. And I've had that feeling, so that's why I wanted to actually get it. It didn't last for 30 minutes for me. It's just kind of
me neither.
Once you get off the elevator, I'm like, what the hell?
It's like I have a friend who just got back from a cruise ship, and she still feels like she's doing this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. The brain just gets used to things and it tries to cancel things out. So if you have some weird effect, the brain's going to try to cancel it out. And then when the effect stops, the canceling it out actually causes just the opposite. You're still having that. So it's a residual effect of the brain trying to cancel out a stimulus that it's not used to.
Dave Daffler asked, Dr. Steve, can anyone here get sickle cell anemia?
Okay, you can't get it, you inherit it. It's genetic. So
there you go. Caller, you're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Hey everyone. Long story short, I'm sorry to make this my dad's dying hour.
I'm sorry.
My dad had neuropathy for a long time, and then it finally got diagnosed as Parkinson's recently.
Okay.
And I had does Parkinson's like kind of give dementia aspects as well? Because he's kind of forgetting things. When he doesn't take his meds, it's just like his world's just upside down.
He kind
Caller.
of freaks out in new places now.
Hey,
Caller,
hold on.
Just
Yeah, I
one
think-
second. We lost Dr. Steve for a second, and we want to make sure that he hears everything you have. He just
Unless you
came
want me,
back.
unless you want me to
I'm
answer
sorry,
it for you, which I'm sure you don't. So maybe go back.
No, I heard this Parkinson's caused dementia, and then I got knocked off. I'm
Dementia
sorry.
symptoms.
Yeah.
Dementia symptoms.
There is a Parkinson's adjacent dementia called Lewy body dementia, and it's a dementia. Yeah, I know there's so many jokes there, but I'm not a funny person, so you guys can come up with the Louis jokes. But I mean, Lewy body. I mean, Louis. I don't know. Is it
Louis
just a
Bean.
big, tall, blobby, redheaded thing? But anyway, I'm thinking of Louis C.K. I can't. I'm not a funny person. So
Louis Bean. You have my money.
He's dodging me.
He's dodging.
So the short answer is yes. That not everyone with Parkinson's gets dementia, but there is an associated dementia called Lewy body dementia. You can look it up. If you want to email me, I'll send you some information on that. Do you ask because you're starting to see this, or is it just you've heard about it and you're wondering about it?
We started to see it. He's kind of forgetting things. Forgets to take his meds, and he kind of just goes like off the rails. He can't really be in new places for very long.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, and I know that's kind of dementia related. So I didn't know if Parkinson's just had the same effect on the brain, or if it's just he also has dementia on top of it.
Yeah, I think the two things are associated in a lot of patients, but it's what causes. It's a chicken and egg kind of thing, and your neurologist. His neurologist needs to know about this. That's the big thing.
Okay.
Is he showing
Thank you guys.
lack of coordination? Usually they have muscle stiffness, and the problem is that he needs to take his medicine for the Parkinson's. But then the dementia is causing him to forget his medicine, so it's just kind of a vicious circle, and everything. It just gets worse.
Not so much muscle stiffness. He's in a boxing class for Parkinson's, so that really helps a lot. But he's had neuropathy in his feet for like over a decade now, so that's kind of just been an issue more than anything. So we can't really say those two are related so much.
Okay. Well, the Parkinson's is a risk factor for Lewy body dementia, no question about that. Now, could someone with Parkinson's get regular old Alzheimer's too? Yes. But his neurologist, if you all have not talked to his neurologist about this memory loss business, you need to. Okay? That's number one. Because they got to get on it. And feel free to email me. I'll send you some supporting material, okay?
And also, weird medicine. There's many other opportunities for Dr. Steve to answer your medical questions on weird medicine every week. You can call into that show, leave a voicemail. Give
thyself a bell.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
You're welcome. You're always plugging. I'm a whore.
Thank you for your call, buddy.
In the chat's been going off a bit on the death. The things you see before you die, and the DMT is being thrown around a lot. In the chat, HackRide is selling people vape pens. Apparently, any moderator is willing to do anything for one of these vape pens. So, what is DMT, and what is that something that's released when you're, dying, and then using DMT recreationally? What's that all about?
Yeah. Okay. So DMT is dimethyltryptamine, and it's. It is an analog of tryptamine, and it is a hallucinogenic. And whether it is secreted in the brain when you die, I do not know, but that would be an interesting study to do, wouldn't it? You'd have to get a bunch of people who are willing to have a brain biopsy during the dying process, and you would biopsy their brains and then do an analysis for whatever neurochemicals you think that you're looking for. DMT is found in plants, so I'm not aware of it being secreted in the brain, but I am really just getting up to speed on psychedelic research for psychiatric issues and stuff. You may know I started ketamine. If I low dose therapy under the supervision of a physician, and if I could have, I would have done psilocybin instead, because I'm convinced that psilocybin for PTSD and the data is just outstanding. Magic mushrooms,
Right.
and that is one. If we want to talk just for a second, why doesn't the FDA approve marijuana as medicine? Because we know it has medicinal properties. They can't. The FDA's laws or rules say that you have to have a single molecule or a collection of molecules in a fixed ratio to each other within certain tolerances. You can't do that with a plant. Even with an extract, you can't do that. So THC synthesized in the laboratory is sold under the drug name dronabinol or Marinol. That's approved by the FDA in all 50 states. The plant marijuana or its extracts can never be approved by the FDA as medicine. But you know what could is, ketamine is one, but also psilocybin. That is a single molecule, and it could be easily synthesized in the lab, given enough effort, and put in a pill in a fixed quantity, and the FDA could absolutely approve that as medication. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think the data on microdosing of psilocybin and other psychedelics is pretty incontrovertible for certain conditions if used properly. I'm on it because I have clinical depression, and I can't take antidepressants. I've tried them all. SSRIs.
Monster.
A fucking idiot.
Because I can't take any of the antidepressants, SNRIs, SSRIs, bupropion, all that stuff. I can't take them. So this stuff is the only thing that I've been able to actually take that doesn't mess me up, and it's helped immensely in this very short period of time. So we use it in dying patients because they don't have 12 weeks to wait till Prozac starts to maybe kick in.
Right.
This stuff kicks in 3 days. So
and obviously, Dr. Steve is talking about low doses of this stuff. You can't.
Correct. Not street. I'm not in a K-hole.
Right. He's not in a K. Exactly. That's what I was going to talk about. El Harible has been there once or twice in his lifetime. Caller, thank you for your patience. You're on the air with Dr. Steve. Spokane, Washington, same guy. I don't know what's going on with your phone, but we are not hearing you. And I thought maybe it was something with my end, but we picked up someone else. So I apologize. If you want, text me. Text me your question. Brian Clowder, thank you for being a member for 3 months. He's a doctor of medicine and love. Dr. Steve.
Thank you, my friend.
He's got everything you need.
Jessica, we talked about it earlier in the show. Just email me. I can get you up to date on what I can say. I can only really talk about what Anthony's already said.
Right.
I don't have his permission to talk about it.
He had a blockage. He had some kind of blockage, but Dr. Steve believes he will be okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Any minute now, we'll get the news. He's gone.
That's it. You're not wrong, Cardiff. If you remember, I proclaimed Tippy Tom the healthiest person in the room.
Oh, yeah.
My prostate on him, and he was dead less than a year later. So, man. My prognostication. I couldn't predict he'd fall over and he hit his head in a drunken round. Well, maybe I could have actually predicted that, but
right. But if he had just, if he hadn't fallen, he would have been okay for probably.
Correct. Yes, he'd still be around.
Yeah, you can. And you were one of the only. Well, I can't say one of the only, but one of the lucky few who had his finger up Tippy Tom's butt.
Yeah, I don't think it was a lucky few. I think it was a lucky myriad of people. They were legion. He was the sweetest guy, though, before he started drinking. Well, he was sweet after he was drinking, but he just got wild. But in the beginning, he just sat there and talked to me. I said, "This is what we're going to do." And he's like, "Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that." And then he got completely wasted, but he was hilarious. When I did the prostate exam on him, I had no idea that it could have been as funny as it was, but it was because of him. You know, he had Anthony's props and he was hitting that damn bicycle horn. It was really funny. And then, right, exactly. And then as they were escorting him out, as Keith the cop was escorting him out, he puked all over the carpet in front of the bleachers.
Fantastic.
It was perfect. Perfect end to the day.
Caller, you're on the air with Dr. Steve.
Hey, Dr. Steve. I've just been noticing that when I scroll through YouTube, I see a bunch of shorts of people claiming to have taken dewormer and it curing their cancer. I was just wondering if you have a comment on that.
What?
Do you know which dewormer they were taking?
Benzimol
mebendazole. Mebendazole, I bet is what it is. And
possibly be a thing.
well, now listen, we don't know everything. The thing is when you do,
it's all over YouTube.
Yeah, when you do a study, and there's reasons why they're saying that. Okay, I'm going to really try to word this in a way that doesn't get you thrown off. So, people asked me, was there a reason why people thought ivermectin would be effective for SARS-CoV-2? And I almost got my channel taken off because I explained that it is, number one, it's not horse paste. What they did to Joe Rogan was frankly criminal, metaphorically, not literally criminal, but it was immoral because they knew better. It's a human medication, and it also has known activity against RNA viruses. Okay, so there was a reason to think that maybe this would be, and wouldn't it have been nice if we had something off the shelf that we could have pulled? So. The thing with mebendazole is it is a human medicine that they use for worms, like pinworms and stuff like that. But it has known effects in reducing solid tumor growth and preventing spread of cancer in multiple preclinical models of cancer. So preclinical means not in human trials. That's the problem. So people can take it. And doctors can prescribe it off-label if they want to. It is not approved for this. We don't have good human data yet. Could it be effective? Yeah, I mean,
off-label means prescribing it for something that it wasn't initially intended for.
Yes, exactly right. Just like I can write any drug for any reason I want to. So I can give you
CardiffElectricPod@gmail.com.
Give you a good example. Gabapentin, aka Neurontin, was brought to the market as a seizure drug, but we used it off-label for years for neuropathic pain or pain caused by damaged nerves. Now it's part of its indication, but at the time it wasn't. And more people wrote it for neuropathy than they ever wrote it as a seizure medicine. So doctors and PAs, and I mean, when I say doctors, I'm using that as broad stroke to include, advanced practice providers of all sorts, could write, the I word for any condition they want to, whether it was indicated for that or not. So, and in this case, you could write mebendazole for somebody if you were a healthcare provider that thought it might help somebody. So they're not assholes for thinking that it might do something, if that makes sense. Just the same reason they weren't assholes for thinking that the I word might be effective for, SARS-CoV-2 infection.
To summarize, no matter how much research and studying and scientific mumbo jumbo happens, there's still a lot of things that happen by accident.
Correct.
Okay.
And the thing is, so you're developing mebendazole as a parasite drug, right? Why would you ever think to do a study on cancer? You have to decide what your endpoints are. So when you do a study, you're saying, well, we're going to look at sildenafil and we're going to look at it for blood pressure. because that was what it was created for. And we still use it for blood pressure in the lungs, high blood pressure in the lungs called pulmonary hypertension. But sildenafil is the active ingredient in Viagra. So they had a side effect was these people were getting these massive, cat can't scratch them boners.
Yeah.
Ballpark Frank and the microwave erections. But they couldn't sell it based on that. They had to now do another study with erectile dysfunction as the outcome measure. Same thing with mebendazole. We know it works for parasites. Now they've got to retool everything and see if it's an anti-cancer drug that we can use.
And my bend is all to the right. But Viagra, I believe, was originally for blood pressure, correct, Dr. Steve?
That's right. I thought I said that, but I may not.
Yes, I think you may have.
Someone in the chat was saying for balding.
No, that's minoxidil. Minoxidil was originally for blood pressure, and then it started growing hair, and we now sell it as Rogaine. Nobody uses it for blood pressure.
Joe Rogaine. Caller, thank you for the call. Do you have anything else for Dr. Steve?
Well, I forgot one.
Oh, well, you hear the show, right?
Bye.
All right, later.
Did you want to talk about Detroit at all?
Yes. So we saw you in Detroit recently.
Yeah.
And you wanted to address some things because you didn't feel like you were really in the moment in Detroit or something.
No, I absolutely was not in the moment. I almost just bailed on going on stage, but I wouldn't do that to Carl because as much as I'd like to give him shit, he is a very good friend. Mm-hmm. And all those people up there were, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody. But what happened was I had two friends that were coming to this thing, and they showed up, and then at the very end of the VIP thing, and then I went to get cups to put on our table to mark our places, and when I came back, the whole auditorium had been cleared. And they made them go outside to come back in because if you remember, some people, I guess, I don't know why they sold it this way. You could buy VIP meet and greet without buying a ticket to the event. So they had to clear everybody out, and then you had to come back in again. It was really kind of
a little weird. Yeah,
it was weird,
bizarre.
It was weird, but it was very clearly written.
Well, okay, don't sell VIP without selling a ticket. That's
right.
The thing. That should be a package.
Who's going to the VIP and then is going to be like, all right, let's go get dinner. Cares about.
I know, but it was.
I just wanted to meet that bedazzler feller.
Yes. Oh, I get it.
I don't care about that show.
I just think
it was strange though.
It is strange, and I understand it was clearly marked. And if you didn't buy both tickets,
well, they didn't know that. I bought their tickets for them. I didn't know that.
Oh, it's your fault, Dr. Steve.
I know.
No.
So when I come back, they're gone. If I had been standing there, I would have said no. They're with the show because the one friend I was trying to get Carl to consider her to be his new one of his new review girls. So anyway, they never came back. And they never came back, and then they were gone. I texted them, hey, where are you guys? Did you get stuck outside again? Nothing. I get nothing from either one of them. I'm texting both of them. I'm using, one of the people I work with. So I used a HIPAA secure chat system and texted her there. Nothing. I looked on Life 360 because we were all, just wanting to know where each other were. That was turned off. So I'm texting them like crazy. The people at the table, your wives saw me, and they are well aware of this. And I just, the show was starting, and I'm not having any fun at all because one of two things had to have happened. Either somehow I pissed them off so bad that they now are just not responding to me because like, fuck that guy, in which case I feel like a piece of shit, or they're in downtown Detroit. They've been kidnapped and murdered because, completely ghosted.
4 people never came back from that Detroit show in the Dabbleverse.
I don't. So fuck off,
because you came up to me and you were very worried that there was something that happened earlier. and
Well-
you were very concerned, and I felt so bad, Dr. Steve.
No, it wasn't your fault. It was mine. I was all hipped up on
Ketamine.
Red Bull. No, I hadn't started my ketamine yet. But I was just very excited for them to be there. And we had kind of this deal that, I mean, one of Carl's criteria for his review girls is that they have, you know, very delightful breasts. And this woman does have those. And so so think of it from her standpoint. This is where I was freaking out.
Yes.
She doesn't know anything about this universe at all.
No.
She comes in at the very end of the meet and greet, so everyone is piled up at the front of the bar area, and here comes this fucking guy with a luchador mask, with a selfie camera, and then here's Myrtle, and Myrtle's like looking at her boobs and going, "Well, what you're real healthy, aren't you?" and all this stuff, and
for the record, you're Myrtle.
Correct.
Okay.
In case anybody was wondering. I didn't know if y'all knew.
Myrtle has not yet separated.
Hi, Mr. Cardiff. I ain't seen you since that Stuttering John show.
And I will say, she did not seem that amused. She was almost just kind of like, what is going on here?
I had told her we were going to be doing exactly that, but yeah, I think it was just, she was just freaked out by the whole thing.
Sure.
But it turns out that wasn't what it was, but that was what I was apologizing for.
I know, and that's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it at all.
What was it? We have to know.
I don't know. I mean, they're...
Oh, you never got an answer?
Not really. I'm assuming that they went back to the hotel to, be together, if you know what I mean, because it was the first weekend that they ever spent in the same city together. They had an online thing for going forever that I set up. I mean, they're both friends of mine.
There you go.
And so
Wow.
I don't know how much they,
You are the doctor of love.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, my matchmaking skills, we'll talk about that someday, but I've got to stop. Because so I just had to reconcile it in my head that they were there and I was in Detroit. We were both there at the same time, but that's why I fucked up. Cardiff gave me the best line of the night, and I completely fucked it up because the second that I started to thinking about it, I'm thinking about them being murdered in an alley somewhere. And so it was really hard to try to be funny.
You did screw up the line. The line came out perfect.
No, I fucked the line up, but it was perfect in how terrible I did it. So,
but in an unrelated question, how do you dispose of a body?
I don't know. There's these things called dermested beetles. That's what we used to, like, if you had an animal and you wanted to break it down just to bones, you would put it in a box with dermested beetles, and they would eat all the flesh off of it and just leave the bones behind.
Perfect.
So,
there you go. Hot tip from Dr. Steve. Caller, you're on the air.
Yo, what's up?
Yo, what's up, Big Black?
Yo.
Not much. I want to ask Dr. Steve, what do you suggest is the reason why people are attracted to the Dabbleverse? Because it's such a weird part of the internet that you can't even explain to other people that you know. What do you think is the attraction of it?
I love this because I have thought a lot about this and I really don't have an answer. It's like a really slow, ongoing train wreck, I think, is what it is. And I mean, have you ever seen, you've been on the interstate and all of a sudden everything slows down and it's going 5 miles an hour. You're in a traffic jam and then you get past where it is and it's a wreck on the other lane. I mean, on the other side of the median. And it's just people fucking rubbernecking, Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it is. The thing that amazes me is the language of the Dabbleverse or all of these sort of insular communities. When I wore that shirt at Nashville that got John so mad at me, and it was just a goofy shirt. It was a green.
Can you explain that again?
It was a green shirt green for the green screen, and it had a horrible photo, it had a picture of John not looking his best. It just said Dabblers Anonymous, and then under it, it said, you, my friend, have committed slander and libel, something like that. Anyone who was there, all they had to do was glance at it, and they would get all of the jokes.
Right.
You know, all of the references, not so much jokes, but you know what I mean. And without thinking about it. Whereas if you tried to explain it to someone, it would take too much time. It wouldn't be worth your effort to try to explain it for a stupid T-shirt. And so, but we recognize those things just without thinking about it. The same way that if you look at what it says under El Horrible, it just says El Horrible. You're not translating that. You look at it, it says El Horrible. If you read English or Obnoxious John, I'm not translating it. It's just a symbol, and that's what it means. You can't think of it meaning anything else. These
Technically,
things.
El Horrible is Spanish, I believe. But
true. Well, it'd be El Horrible.
So, Dr. Steve, when did you first start watching Dabbleverse shows?
You know, I've tried to think about that the other day. I was introduced to this through WATP, no question about that. And I think I got introduced to WATP through Anthony.
Yes.
I think that's how that happened. All of a sudden,
as well.
But you were definitely part of the beginning of the Dabbleverse. Like you were there from day one.
Should we talk about how that went down? I don't know if everybody knows that story. That's kind of a fun story. Sure. Yeah, well, okay, so when Cardiff was pretending to be a Stuttering John sock puppet or sock account, I believed that he was Stuttering John because I said I got a response from him or a like, and I said, "Oh, that's great! I've been trolling for a like from Cardiff Electric," and he sent back typical John response. Well, at least you admit you're a troll. And so I DM'd him. I said, we're using troll a little bit different, but nice to meet you. And then he gave me the second response that convinced me it was Stuttering John. He said, you want to be on my podcast?
I thought you were going to say, he said, can I borrow $20?
No. Do you want to be on my podcast? I was like, hell yeah, I do. So I immediately agreed. And then I said, maybe I should do some research. And I went and listened to earlier Cardiff Electric podcasts where he was using the voice back then. And he would say, obviously I'm not John. And then he would do a story about a serial killer. And the serial killer's name was always somebody named Carl something or other. And I said, this is fucking hilarious. So I went on Cardiff's show, and you can talk about this. I know at the time you were so surprised that I said yes, that you had to hold like two iPhones together or something to record it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you said yes because, up until then, I was just doing the podcast as a joke. And I'm like, how do I have a guest? I had two iPhones like laid out on a desk, one with a call to Dr. Steve, the other one to record it. And try and record I had no idea how to take a guest, but I'm like, Dr. Steve's coming on. I need to. So if you do ever listen to that, there's a horrible noise
makes
the entire
it even better.
Time. There's some feedback or something.
It makes it even better.
Yeah.
And I found Cardiff to be quite humorous because I didn't know what I was getting into, if he was really a John supporter or not. And I was fair about it. I said when John was on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, I found him to be very appealing. A lot of people did.
Yeah.
And I said, I just don't like this new version of him, at least the way that he responds to people. I think that he could do a better job or a more functional job.
Excuse me for a second.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to bore you.
Stuttering John on Stern?
I'm sorry?
No, you're doing good. But when you said, it sounds like you first saw John on I'm a Celebrity. Did you ever see him on Stern?
No. Yes, of course. Yeah, that's why I watched that season of I'm a Celebrity, because John was on there. And I was a Stern fan going way back. In the 80s, I would pay a guy in New York to record all the shows and cut out the commercials and send them to me on CD. And
do you remember Gina Girl?
Yeah, I remember her. I don't remember a lot about her. She wasn't on a lot of the shows that I listened to. But anyway, yeah.
Big Black, can I answer your question? I think people like the Dabbleverse because we were all fans of shows like Opie and Anthony and Howard and Ron and Fez, and wherever you were a fan of talk radio. Talk radio has become so watered down and become such crap. Even the Howard Stern show, Opie and Anthony aren't around. Jim and Sam aren't even what they used to be. And I think people are just dying for that old kind of like talk radio where everyone's just saying whatever they want. No one really cares. Obviously, we have to, toe the line with YouTube and stuff, but
we're just busting chops.
We're busting chops. They don't do that on Howard anymore. There is no Opie and Anthony. There is no Ron and Fez. So everyone was looking for that kind of stuff, and WATP was doing it. And then and so John was introduced, and he was part of that old culture of talk radio. And even he's trying to be like, well, that was 30 years ago and it was different. You could say fag 30 years ago, but now Obama said that it's wrong. And,
only the last 6 years.
He wrote it into law.
Right. So that's why I think the Dabbleverse is so appealing.
I got that same Opie and Anthony
introduced at WATB.
I was first introduced to. I mean, here's my thing. I've always listened to Howard. I've always listened to Ron and Fez, Opie and Anthony. And once all that kind of ended, I was still listening to all that old stuff, and I was like, "There's nothing else to listen to." Like I would listen to Rogan if he had someone I like on. I would try like Louis J. Gomez with Real Ass Podcast. But I just kind of wasn't getting. I was just kind of like, this stuff is okay. And then WATP, once I found Carl and he was reviewing like
had that same vibe.
Yes, it had that same vibe. He was talking about former characters from shows I loved, and I was like, holy shit! Like there are people who are interested in the old shows that I'm still listening to. People were doing shows, and I always attribute Carl. Carl inspired me 100% to just. Start doing this.
How did you first find WATP? Because for me, it was I was listening to Nagel.
It was
podcast, and he mentioned WATP like being like Jocktober. I'm like, holy shit, I need this.
That may have been part of it too. It was Anthony or Nagel or both. And the thing was is that
you guys, you did a good job.
Who didn't?
Thanks,
man. Who didn't love Jocktober though? When all of a sudden they would, they had phase one
when
of
Sam
the
walked
shutdown.
In. When Sam walked in, that's when it got good.
Yeah.
That's when it really got good.
And then they'd start shutting down their Facebook comments. And then now the page is gone. And, the pests and the listeners to Ron and Fez were always some of the funniest people. And the pests with Opie and Anthony were the thing. And you could be a pest if you wanted to be. And you were just being shitty, and it's fun to be shitty and do it in a funny way. And I told Ope a long time ago that you created this, and what happens to a monster is it always turns on its creator,
right?
Especially if you don't give it something to go after. And so when Opie and Anthony went away, it was natural for the pest to just turn on their creators.
Yep. Yeah, the Opie Anthony subreddit. I mean, that was
that was rough.
Ever. But I was there every day, and I was so upset when it was gone.
Me too, and I hated it when the Patrick Tomlinson stuff went away too, because that was loads of fun. But not for him,
right?
I don't know if you remember all that, but anyway, that was another.
Sort of, Patrick Tomlinson. Yes, I do. I do remember.
Another prickly science fiction writer that just couldn't blow it off. Just like John, if he'd just blown off that first WATP thing, we wouldn't be talking about him right now. Exactly. Obnoxious John would not be named Obnoxious John right now.
Right.
Exactly. Scorchy666. So El Horrible is upset he can't say fag. No, that's not the point, you idiot. It's the point that everyone
like that's what you said.
No, it's not. I'm just saying it's the point that everyone was monitoring what they would say, and no one, it was just the looseness of, just using words as jokes, and like we're not using it in hateful ways, you idiot. But I do hate you, Scorchy, now. So take that.
And these were some of the greatest moments from Jocktober when these images started showing up on Facebook. Okay, why is Hulk Hogan attacking The world, why?
That was the greatest.
I have to say, most of the time I was listening to Jocktober in the car, and I'd be jealous of the people that were at home, because Facebook at the time, you'd have to be at home on your computer doing, right? So I'd be so jealous. But every once in a while, I was home to watch one of these takedowns happening live, and it was glorious. It was just fantastic to watch.
It was hilarious. Dr. Steve, do you have to go? I know you have to prep for your show and all that.
Are you saying? Okay,
no,
you're done
please,
with me.
I want you to stay the whole time. I want to keep going. Yeah, I want you to be on every week. I just wanted to make sure.
I want to go back to Big Black's question, though. I think if anything is primed for a documentary, it's the Dabbleverse. Somebody from the outside, I think, needs to start putting this together, because I think this would be a fascinating documentary.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
There's so many facets that brought it to where it is right now. Just the Cardiff thing, because, after I was on, then Carl went, well, okay, I can go on there. And then you started having guests and becoming part of this universe, rather than just being sort of a troll that was sniping around the edges of it. Now you're, in the center of it. And I always was I'd catch shit in the subreddit saying, no, this Cardiff guy is funny as hell. And people go, I don't, whatever. But it's, but that's one entry. And then you've got the BeDabbler sort of entry into things. And then the DabbleCon kind of the more real Dabbleverse stuff that's just John related. And, then all of the other aspects of this, it'd be really hard to put together. It would take a talented documentarian to do it, but I think it's a worthy effort just to show just a sociologic phenomenon, this sort of insular universe that people create for themselves. They find comfortable and hilarious.
Stud Joe's Fair Use Baloney Factory, thank you. We need a custom test, diff areas, third-party created and graded, build an IKEA shelf. Take
for the
a
IQ
great
test.
math test, cook an egg, guitar solo. Yes, we do need a specialized test for John. That is a great. And Stud Joe Fair Use Baloney Factory on Twitter. I think it's Stud Joe Baloney. Everyone should be following him. He's been putting out incredible material lately.
Please go back to the videos too, though. I love those. Were my favorites.
Yeah, Stud Joe Fair Use Baloney Factory is definitely an inspiration for us all.
Yes, he inspired me. Got to meet him in Detroit.
Yes,
and fucking tastic. I
created my potato logo.
Yes, he created.
Is that right?
Yep.
He also
He's very
created,
talented.
Unsolicited, just sent it to me one day. I'm like, it's fantastic. Thank you. I love it.
That's
Same
really
here.
cool.
He created the new Tukey logo, no gods, no masters, only Tukey or something.
Wow.
And that's up. You can get a t-shirt with that. He said, here, use it for whatever you want. So
awesome.
yeah, he is an incredibly talented individual. So thank you, Stud Joe Baloney Factory. Corn Diff, thank you for being a member for 5 months. Hit like. I don't like you anymore, Corn Diff. I saw who you're hanging out with. Don't try and butter me up, Corn. We saw who you were hanging out
To
with.
be fair, that could have been any stock of corn.
That's true.
It's Vegas,
Pete D, thank you for the $10. Hello, Dr. Steve. Sometimes when I turn my head, I get dizzy when I lay down. My doctor said my ear crystals are all out of alignment and
Correct.
it will fix itself eventually. What the fuck is she talking about? TWO.
Yeah, she's not really like a new agey person talking
It's your
about
chakras.
Healing crystals. There actually are crystals. Remember the semicircular canals I talked about earlier? There are little crystals in there that sit on top of the sensor hairs to amplify the signal of the fluid moving around in those semicircular canals. Thank you. And they can get dislodged or they can clog the canal. And so when you turn your head, you get dizzy. It's called benign positional vertigo. And without going into a lot of detail, I'm just going to tell you to go and go on YouTube and search out the Epley maneuver, which your doctor should have told you to do, rather than just saying it'll go away eventually. There's something you could do today to make it go away, and it's called the Epley maneuver. And if you do it properly, it may take care of it. You may have to do it a couple of times. If it doesn't work, then you need to see an ear, nose, and throat specialist for that, because it may be something else.
I love how you can just easily throw the word fluid into anything you're talking about. When like no one else uses that word, and you always make sure to throw it in.
I don't.
Fluid.
The reason that got associated with me was because of Norton noticing that. But you can't talk about the human body without talking about fluids.
Of course,
it's just part of it.
Did we ever
say liquid or moist? It's fluid.
Oh, it's beautiful. Did we ever find out what that lump on Norton's nutsack was the first time he got it? It was fluid?
Yes, it was fluid.
Did we ever find out what that lump on his nutsack
was? Epidermal inclusion cyst, and they do have a sort of fluid in them. So, yes.
Bobcat, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Dr. Steve, any advice on getting my poster?
Fuck off. I don't have one either.
Oh, you didn't get a poster either.
No.
All right, real quick.
That's my fault. I mean, it's completely my fault. They were all sitting there. You
Different
and I
poster,
both could
Dr.
have
Steve.
just gotten the poster, right?
Different poster.
Oh, what are we talking about?
He's looking for a Pottstown poster.
This is Pottstown.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Postergate, day 140.
Where are the posters, Dewspayer? Where are the posters?
That brings us to day 140 of Postergate.
Where the posters, Dewspayer? That's so great.
I do have a clip of Shuli and them. It's real quick. And then I'm going to bring on, we have a special guest waiting in the background who was at Pottstown. So I will throw him on. But here's the latest on what we know of Postergate. There has been an update.
Yeah. Deadfool. Where to go, Deadfool? $20. I didn't go to Pottstown, but where's my poster? We should send him one anyway, even though he didn't go. I agree. All right.
I haven't mentioned this yet, but about the posters, Julie. So we've got to send them now to each one of the three of you to sign all 100 of them.
Okay, we'll start sending them.
Yeah.
No, I won't sign them. Fine. That's all right.
Anthony refusing.
So
how much easier would it have been to just sign them there?
Well, yes. Well, they didn't
have shipping them around the country
because Dr. Steve, they didn't bring them. They didn't have them made when the event was happening. They literally just had them made a couple of weeks ago.
It is amazing when you see an event like one of Carl's events, even though he's had some notorious technical problems, but he thinks of all of the things that need to be done and they get done. I did that when I was doing my comedy events here. I'd have a list that was 200 things long, and I'd try to think of every single thing that could possibly go wrong. And, when you do that, and even then, the fucking band is on the stage in this place. We had Jim Florentine. I had a hair band playing in front of him instead of a comedian, right? It was great. And this hair band was perfect. And they got all their equipment set up on this stage in this antiquated old, really quaint theater. I am?
Yeah, but you're back.
Okay.
Oh,
was
it was
breaking
not.
up for you? Oh, okay,
No.
sorry. It was breaking up for me. That was my fault then. It's something on my end.
Anyway.
I apologize.
So, fuck it. I'm not even telling the story now. No,
I'm sorry, Dr. Steve. I fucked up. Everything was all choppy on my end.
It's not even a great story. That's the problem. So, but the drummer hit the bass drum and all the power went out. So you can't anticipate everything.
No,
the system in there couldn't handle their amplifier, so it was quite the nightmare. But the posters. That's sort of. I mean, listen. Shuli, for fuck's sake, dude, that's kind of really basic.
But now it does seem like whoever did get posters will be getting some form of signed poster.
That's
Not
cool.
sure if everyone is signing, but they are saying that the three BS members will be signing. SH, thank you for the $5. Damn, I wanted to watch today because my Stella is waiting for insurance starts.
Spravato is ketamine. It's the nasal version, prescription ketamine.
Oh, interesting. That's a nose spray?
Mm-hmm. It's like $1,400 a dose, and it is mega dose ketamine. in that you spray it up the patient's nose, and then they got to stay in your office for 2 hours till they come down, and then you can.
Do you have any free samples you can send?
No, they don't sample that one.
Damn it! My guest keeps leaving.
The other thing I was going to say about the posters is Shuli was at Nashville. That was one of the first live events. And Carl had a big stack of posters. We all went to the green room and we all signed, 100 posters or something. So he'd seen that done.
Yes.
So he's also at DabbleCon too. He saw.
Yeah, someone in the Shuli camp dropped the ball.
Well, and so listen, Shuli's staff, the people that he brought with him to DabbleCon were right on the money. They were amazing. And one of those was Stutjo, right?
Yes.
So I
got not Stutjo Bologna Factory, Stutjo Depot.
Stutjo Depot, right.
Different stuff.
Right.
And I will say, I will not be signing
awesome.
any Pottstown posters except for Bobcats. Bobcat will be the only Pottstown poster I will ever sign.
Well, I'm going to go on record. I will sign any Pottstown poster that's sent to me.
Okay.
I wasn't there.
There you go. Dr. Steve wasn't even at Pottstown. He's willing to sign.
No invite.
Fantastic. Blind Eye, thank you. Blind Eye Tim 2, thank you for being a member for 2 months. Does Muttering Jay have a disorder? He seems unhinged. I don't know what's going on with Muttering Jay, but yeah, he is. He's not happy with
anybody.
Someone.
He's doing some
He wasn't happy with John. Now he's not happy with other people. I think he's just.
But it almost seems like him and John are working together, like he's done a 180 here. So I don't know either.
Cardiff is a professional troll. I mean, it takes one to know one. Do you think that this is a troll that he's doing, or is it?
Honestly, I have no. This is coming out of left field for me, especially some of the stuff he's done. He's putting out people's information, kind of going after chatters now. Apparently,
what is happening?
Let me say, I do not want to speak out against Muttering Jay.
No, I've always enjoyed his work.
Ever.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's really smart, too.
But I don't agree with what's going on. I don't think that should be.
I haven't kept up on what's going on with him lately. I know that he kind of did a heel turn or whatever at one point.
He's not Shuli's biggest fan now.
He's still not a Shuli fan, right?
Yeah, I think that's the main goal, is just anything to take down Shuli. But I think some of the collateral damage that might be getting taken down is unfair.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dave Daffler, bidet or drag your ass on the carpet?
Yeah, bidet.
Bidet. Bidet.
What kind of carpet? Easy. What kind of carpet?
True. Dave Daffler again, $2. Dr. Steve, your opinion on urethras?
They're very needed, but what you don't want is a probe shoved up your urethra. That sucks.
Or a narrow urethra.
Oh, narrow urethra sucks too. Some people think that they have prostate problems. They really have a urethral stenosis. So if you don't ignore that stuff, if you're having trouble peeing, go see a urologist. They can dope that stuff out. Sometimes it is just a urethral stenosis, pretty easy to fix. You don't have to go through the whole TERP business.
Can they just give you a pill for that?
We love, that's my favorite pill story. Is that they find out in Norway that people who eat a lot of fish have fewer heart attacks. So the American solution to that is you take a bunch of fish and you throw them in a vat and render them down to their essential oil, and then take the pill and go, okay, now we can eat whatever we want.
Oh, is that all fish oil pills are?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, I take those. It's gross.
I do too. They probably don't do very much.
Our guest is back, everybody. Welcome to the show, the great Ray DeVito.
Oh, hi, Ray.
Oh, yay.
Hey, are chin dimples a sign of having stage 5 AIDS and being a pedophile?
You see.
So Ray DeVito.
That wasn't Ray DeVito.
Please answer the question, Dr. Steve.
I didn't understand a fucking thing he said.
He wants to know if having a dimple in your chin is
stage 5 AIDS and pedophile.
Stage 5 AIDS and pedophilia.
Oh, that's not stage 5 AIDS. No.
Okay, no.
Well, but he is a pedophile. That's confirmed. Medically speaking, Ray DeVito. Okay, good.
No.
All right.
We're clear.
Let's try to get through this stuff and end the show so Dr. Steve can do his show. What time is your
Oh, he's just still trying to get rid of me. I'm having fun.
No, what time is your show today?
I don't know.
You don't know? You don't have a set time?
1 o'clock.
Oh, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock Eastern. So
1 o'clock Eastern. So about an
Yes.
hour.
We wouldn't want to disappoint the 8 people.
Oh, stop it.
No, he's not wrong. Listen,
I know.
I do a radio show. I don't do a video show. I'd like to kind of start doing some of this kind of stuff, but I'm not. This is my thing.
You were doing almost daily when you were at your retreat, and I
was.
that.
Maybe I had 17 people watching at any one time. I've never pushed the video aspect. Eric Nagel made me do video back when he was. He didn't make me. He said,
"What else did Eric Nagel make you do?"
Oh, he made me do a lot of stuff, and they were all good ideas. Every idea I ever did that Eric told me to do and there's a couple of them I can't speak about because I'm kind of. I just can't say, but
can I put my finger in your ass?
Yes, Blue Iris. Whose drop was that? I want that.
I have no drops anymore. It's all Corey.
Okay. So but he said you should do a video component, and so I just kind of throw up while we're recording. I put it up there. It's not really a video show. So if we get 8 people watching it at once, that's a good day for me. But Scott, my partner, and I do it really just so that we feel like we're talking to somebody live rather than just talking to each other. So,
well, I would like all my listeners to go over in about an hour and go watch Dr. Steve.
And that would be fun.
So that is the show. You record the show on YouTube and then you play it on Sirius, right?
We record the Sirius show and we just have cameras in here and take the audio feed and put it on YouTube.
And then that show will play tonight?
No.
It used to be on Saturdays, right?
We are. We try to be a week ahead.
Jim McClure's pleasure.
Yes, Jim McClure.
At Jim McClure's pleasure. That is correct.
Jim McClure's still there.
Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Finkelstein Shit Kid, thank you for the $5. Chuki's not the serial killer. It's actually Dr. Steve. No, how dare you? He is not a serial killer. He's a wonderful man. Ricky Garcia, thank you. Adam and Dr. Drew Love Lines.
Okay. Carl called me Dr. Drew.
Oh, how dare he?
Detroit. That's going to go into my next to catch a club-footed jackass because I'm working one up right now.
Oh, wonderful. We should do some kind of monthly show like this late at night, though, and do like a love line.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I would like to do more.
Dr. Steve would be adorable.
I'm getting to where I'd like to do more. I used to keep it on the DL, but yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. We should talk about that and all of us doing something like that. Dr. Chow, the Mega G, thank you for the $2. Shout out to Big Black. Yes,
absolutely.
Thank you for calling in, Big Black. One of my favorite regulars.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Doclo 30, thank you for the $5. Dr. Steve, they're telling us you have to go right now.
That's hilarious.
No, never. I would never do that, but I also would never keep Dr. Steve if he has something to do. So that's all. Dr. Steve is welcome.
No, it's okay. I know I'm boring. You
are not boring. Stop it.
Yeah, no, he's boring. We get it.
Shannon Duffy, thank you for the $2. Dr. Steve, did anyone ever walk on the moon?
Not directly. They were encased in metal fabric, but yeah, I believe it's not even a question. I'm surprised that this has come up that the moon landing was faked, and I was there. I mean, not on the moon.
You were on the moon?
I was looking up at the moon while Armstrong and Aldrin were walking around on it, and I remember that like it were yesterday. And if
did you see them?
I did not. But think about this: Apollo 12, and I can't remember the guy, Rusty Cooper or one of those guys, turned the camera into the sun. Do you guys remember this? As Apollo 12. They get out, they've got a brand new color camera, and he points it right at the sun and burns the fucking thing out.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the time when they're doing a moonwalk, they used marionettes. And they're walking around. You Google that shit. It's got to be on YouTube. They were using marionettes to walk people around on the moon because they were talking about it because they didn't have any video. Now, why would they do that if they were faking it? If they were faking it, first off, they wouldn't have faked that he blew out the sensor on the thing. And if they did, they just replace the camera and continue faking the moonwalk. They wouldn't use marionettes. It's a little too obvious.
Why did I pretend to be Stuttering John on Twitter many years ago? It's all an elaborate work. We're all being worked. It's a work.
Baby Satchmo.
Damn it, Cardiff.
Baby Snatchmo, Black Earl's aborted baby. Thank you for the $5. Morning Ninjas, please Venmo this to Dr. Steve so he can insert another dose of cancer. Dr. Ken Otto. Stop it, FKB. How dare you?
We're not reinstalling cancer, anybody. No.
That was funny when everybody was sending you money for Ken Otto.
Money for cancer. They're monsters, Dr. Steve.
It's like,
what was it?
No.
Oh, I have a text right here. Big fan of Dr. Steve. Do you know if microdosing of magic mushrooms helps with alcoholism?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out. I can become an expert on anything pretty quickly. So psilocybin, they want to know.
Yeah, magic mushrooms. Does that help with alcoholism?
Let me see.
Microdosing.
Let's just do it an addiction in general. So, okay, therapeutic effects of psilocybin in addiction, a systematic review. So what this is in Frontiers of Psychiatry, which is not a shitty, journal. And so they did a systematic review, which is where you take a bunch of studies and you mush the data together and you see if you can tease out some statistically significant conclusions. And it said only one randomized controlled trial and 3 small clinical trials were identified. So we got to talk about Timothy Leary here in a second. He really messed us up for this. All 4 clinical trials indicated beneficial effect of psilocybin-assisted therapy on substance abuse disorder symptoms. Larger randomized controlled trials are needed. So I've kind of said this on my live stream, and I think El Horrible, you were there. But Timothy Leary, by popularizing LSD in the 60s, shut down psychedelic research in psychiatry for about 40, 50 years. And the reason was even the Democrats and Republicans at that time were socially very conservative, and they see, a bunch of dirty hippies like me, we're tripping balls, man. And, and they were like, fuck this, and we're not having it. And they took away all the funding. And without funding, research doesn't go on except in people's, in the privacy of their own homes. And so we're just way, way, way behind on psychedelic research. And I do blame the popularization of psychedelics at the time. If they had just held off, we could have gotten the research done and then we could party.
Yeah. No, I agree. Shannon Duffy, $2. You lied about Kennedy and Star Trek. You are a liar.
Who did?
I don't know. That's the problem with reading the super chats later. We don't know.
I don't think that was me.
Well, these are actually newer.
Oh, that was newer? I have no idea what that person was talking about then. Chip Chipperson, thank you for the $2. Dr. Steve, throwing up video could be bulimia.
Or gastroenteritis of some sort.
Something. I have a text. Dr. Steve, 9 years ago, I had a bad case of diverticulitis and had to get part of my colon removed.
Oh.
Afterwards, I was on really strong antibiotics and my bowel movements had zero odor to them for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. We killed all the bacteria in your gut.
Oh, there you go.
And when you do that, sometimes bad bacteria can move in. That's the one of the hypotheses behind hospital-acquired Clostridium difficile, or C. diff. So you have Cardiff is a potato, corn diff is corn, C. diff is voluminous, watery diarrhea, as you so aptly said on your last show. So
there you go. Oh, here we go. Shannon Duffy is clearing up. Kennedy was shot in 1963. Star Trek was on in 1966.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, then there was some damn show. I remember it being, what, you think that could have been RFK then? I remember coming home from Cub Scouts. So 1966, I would have been, 1963, I would have been 8. So 1966, I would have been Cub Scouts.
RFK was shot in 1968.
Well, that isn't it either then. No, I'm misremembering it.
He's a very busy man. He can't.
No. I remember coming home from Cub Scouts going, oh boy, they let us out because Kennedy was killed.
Oh, were you wearing little shorts?
Oh, sure.
Yes. And I ran home and turned on the TV and I thought it was Star Trek that I was going to watch, but it was obviously some other show, but it was preempted. Thank you for that because I've been telling that story and I don't want to tell a wrong story. So.
There you go. Thank you, Shannon Duffy, for correcting Dr.
Thank you, Shannon Duffy.
We appreciate that.
Yep.
So we never went on the moon, is what I think Shannon.
Yes,
is saying.
that's what we've concluded. Yes.
Yeah, so I lied about that. So I must be lying about the moonshot because I was so intimately involved at 8 years old or whatever.
Are we all caught up?
We are.
Holy moly, that's perfect timing. We did exactly like 2 hours.
You're giving me a taste of them super chats, right?
Of course.
Where's my VIG?
Dr. Steve.
Then we'll be quid.
Thank you. Yeah, what is he trying to say there?
He's saying quid pro quo.
Right.
We'll be quid, tit for tat or whatever.
But is that a term that, but does anyone ever say we'll be quid?
I almost think I've
never
twisted
heard
it around because
Your show was better when you had medical questions.
Sorry, that was me.
I almost think he's interpreting it like quid is money in England, like 10 quid or whatever.
I
That's
don't think
pound.
that's it. But go ahead.
But I think he's doing like a swingers thing, like, hey, you're the money.
Yeah.
Hey, you're the money. Hey,
hey man, we're quid.
I think he's trying to create something.
He's queer. Anyway.
No,
he's not. No, don't take it down.
Okay, asshole. Who's playing that?
Not me. Is that you?
My favorite song.
Fuck off. Play the synthesizer solo at least.
I can't fast forward the thing.
There you go.
That's another thing I don't know
not.
if people know. Dr. Steve is an excellent musician.
No, I'm not an excellent musician,
Yes,
but
you
I was in a couple of bands. And that day, I remember recording that. That was David Bowie's Moon Age Daydream. And we were so into Bowie, and there were these girls there, and I was trying to impress this one girl. And so I said, let's do Moon Age Daydream, and because that was, my version of his accent that he used. And it was just horrendous. It was horrendously bad. And they played it on Opie and Anthony and had their way with me for about 20 minutes over that one. So
Was the chick impressed at least?
no.
Oh.
No, she'd never heard of David Bowie. She was like, can you play the Beach Boys? And I was like, no.
Sure.
God damn it. No.
All right. I just want to play one last thing since we were talking about channels being. I don't even know if I should fucking play this now.
Oh, no. What is it?
It's a 5-second clip from my old YouTube channel, and it has 200,000 views. It's 5 seconds. And all it is it's the clip from Basketball of Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries.
Right.
Saying, update. We still have no fucking clue where this guy is. And then there's a picture of the Boston Marathon bombing suspect.
Suspect, yeah.
Because it was the day that they couldn't find him. Remember that day?
Oh, when he was hiding in a boat. Yeah.
Right. So the title of the video was whatever the date was, Boston Marathon bombing, the news in 5 seconds. And that's all it was. We still have no fucking clue where this guy is. YouTube took it down today.
What?
And they are saying that it is because it is in violation of it violates our violent criminal organizations policy.
Oh yeah.
And this was how long it's been sitting on YouTube?
It's been on there since the Boston that day. It was like 2012.
And they took it down today.
They took it down today, and I appealed it. And they said that we have reviewed your appeal for the following. It's called Today's News in 5 Seconds, Boston Marathon Suspect. We have reviewed your content carefully and have confirmed that it violates our violent criminal organizations policy. What does it violate? It just shows a picture of the bombing suspect.
He's a fucking idiot.
So I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but there is a very
They updated their algorithm.
it is fucked
It has
up,
to
man,
be.
because there's nothing on there that advocates violence. There's nothing that is pro Boston Marathon bomber or anything.
You're
like
making light of
that.
it.
Of the whole day but whatever.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's again, we all know what happened with subreddit surfing getting demonetized. I guess this is probably something similar that happened to the Shuli network not too long ago, where everyone was kind of like, oh, it sounds like a bullshit story. They don't know what it is, but it is. It's YouTube just pulls stuff and shuts down channels, and they especially now since they started with the memberships, they've got so many people like dependent on YouTube monthly, where it's like, yeah, I think
now that people will
Patreon
knuckle under. That's right.
Yeah, Patreon is probably the way to go.
Well, who just said rumble, rumble, rumble over here? The problem with Kenneth, who was that?
No one there.
Eugene, the number 3 watcher. And
that's our friend JT.
But I'm not, eventually I'm just concerned Rumble will do the same thing.
Yeah. Once they start making money.
Yeah. Once they're big.
Yeah.
Once they're big,
they're going to have to
then
do
they're
the
gonna
same
have
thing
to.
too.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I just wanted to throw that in. I wanted to play the clip, but then I just realized, oh, wait, don't play the clip because we're advocating violent criminal organization. I don't it's insane. But
yeah.
Dr. Steve, thank you so much for taking 2 hours out of your day, especially before you have to prep for your show.
No, thank you. No,
we saved. How many lives did we save by distracting you for 2 hours?
And I had Myrtle here the whole time, and I didn't even bring her out. So
we'll bring on Myrtle the next
stupid
time.
thing. That was, by the way, why I got up on stage and threw that puppet into the crowd and said, "Stupid fucking puppet." Nobody knew why, but that was why, because I thought she was the cause of my friend disappearing.
Yes. So have you talked to your friends since then or no? Okay. So everything's good though with you guys.
Well, I mean, to me, there'll always be a little asterisk there, but I just, I love them both.
Sure.
And I think they were just so involved. I had an online romance. I married one of them. And for a minute, I was thinking, my friends were like, well, dude, you're moving kind of fast, aren't you? And it's like, you don't know what love is. Only I know. You all, we discovered love. And
my world is the sky and she is the sun.
This is
exactly. I think
this
that's
is
what
90 Day Fiance. This is how these people get screwed over so many times because you're just so in.
Yeah.
You're just so in.
I actually wrote a book about it, and you have my hypothesis is that when it's a long distance online relationship, you fall in love with an image that you create in your head because they're not there. So you create this idealized image of them, and that's what you fall in love with, and that's why they're perfect. And when you finally get together, they're either close enough to that so that you can continue, or they're like 90 Day Fiance. It's like, well, I'm getting the hell out of here. So I think that's what was going on. So I've been there. I treated my friends kind of the same way back then. And this was, of course, in the 80s when we didn't know any better. But okay, human nature hadn't changed. So I'm just letting it go. And I love them both. And they both seem very happy right now. So good for them.
I have one last text message I forgot to read. Please ask Dr. Steve if he's tried testosterone cream you put under your nuts.
No, I haven't. Mine is supposed to, I do testosterone gel, and I'm supposed to do it on the chest and shoulders. If it is made to go on the nuts, on the scrotum, then do it. But if it's not, then don't do that because it's, some of those things have alcohol in them. It's just irritating. But there's nothing magical about putting it next to the nuts. It gets into the bloodstream the same way. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I should warn everybody. I did use that one for a while. For a couple of years, I used the one that you put right under the nuts.
Yeah.
But it did some very strange things to my dog's tongue. I had to stop.
Disgusting. All right. And with that, I want to thank our guest, Dr. Steve, at Weird Medicine on YouTube, at Weird Medicine on Twitter. He will be live in a little less than an hour on his channel.
Yes.
Please go check him out. He's also on Sirius XM. What time is that show on Saturdays?
I don't know. I think it's 7. Sometimes we get preempted during basketball season. So the best way to listen to it is on demand or just check out the podcast. I mean, again, the video thing, if I get 200 views, I'm happy. But, I mean, we have a large audience on Sirius XM and in the podcast realm.
Yes.
So it's mostly an audio show. I'm trying to learn from you guys how to do some of this.
If you ever
highfalutin, these young people with their video cameras.
Sure. If you ever need anything, please reach out to me. I will make you whatever you need. If
Absolutely.
You want
I'd love to do that. I'd like to do more of this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
This was fun.
And you're good. You're a natural. You're very talented at this, Dr. Steve. And please sign up to Dr. Steve, patreon.com/weirdmedicine. And like he said, you can hear the show better.
Or let me do a cameo for you. I'm the cheapest cameo on Cameo. Cameo.com/weirdmedicine. I love doing them. Did you just kick me off? Okay.
No, you're there.
You're solo.
Okay. Yeah. I got the old Opie and Anthony vibes. You know, hey, Dr. Steve, what are you doing? And then click.
No, we are not.
Well,
PTSD.
Click. Yes, a little bit of PTSD. Yeah, I love doing them, and I did one with Myrtle. The guy said my wife hates Myrtle, so do it for a really long time, and that was a fun one.
Yeah,
and I'll do whatever. I don't give a shit. I do them for fun. I'm not doing them for money. And every penny that I get from doing cameos goes toward ham radio.
Wonderful. Yes, you're a ham radio.
It's a good cause.
And I have committed. Dr. Steve is the one that brought me into this world, and he is the one I will go out of this world with.
Yay.
I will do my Cardiff Unmasked only on Dr. Steve's Patreon one day.
Thank you.
Sign up now, and I will give all the
Looking
history.
forward to unraveling this whole mystery. It's going to be fun.
I won't take the mask off.
No.
I'll be unmasked.
Right.
100%. Cardiff Electric on YouTube.
You'll remember the 90s.
Yo, remember the 90s. We had a second show yesterday.
Taken down on both our channels now, so it's only available on You'll Remember the 90s.
Yes, I edited it on my channel, so it might come back up. But yeah, that's ridiculous. We play all these things, and then you can't play the beginning to a theme song for a show that's 20 seconds in a 2-hour video. It shuts the whole show off, but I get it. It was our stupid thing. We can't play clips. We have to figure out how not to play
no more clips
on things. But yo, remember the 90s. At Obnoxious John on Twitter, at BeDabbler on Twitter for me. And,
subredditsurfing.com.
Subredditsurfing.com.
Patreon. And stutteringjohnlive.com. Come see me and maybe some other people March 10th in Rochester. And Stuttering John will be there too.
Are you going to be there, Dr. Steve?
I will not.
Okay.
It's I asked Vinny when he said he was going to do it. I said, just please don't do it the week of the 10th through the 17th. And
there you go.
So what are you going to do? Yeah.
Take the hint, Dr. Steve.
I know. I should have just kept my stupid mouth shut.
That's a bummer, actually. I don't know if I want to go now that Dr. Steve.
Well, that's my kid's spring break. So
that's fantastic. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We will absolutely do this again if Dr. Steve will be willing to do it, because this was great. This was a lot of fun. This is exactly what I pictured, like a radio show. I've always wanted to do this kind of stuff since I was a kid, like take calls and have a panel, and like the idea of having Dr. Steve on my stupid show.
All right.
I'm thinking
you do a really good job.
I'm thinking maybe we have Dr. Steve on our next members only show.
Oh, we could do that. Yeah.
Possibly.
Want to figure it all out.
Is that the show where we show our members?
Yeah.
It's only showing our members.
Shake them around.
It's just a bunch of penises and maybe one vagina.
That's it.
Or some of us have both.
That's true.
Of course.
Fine. Doesn't make you a bad person.
Are hermaphrodites real, Dr. Steve? We need to know.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes.
Intersex. Absolutely.
Frogs. There you go. Anyway, all right. We won't leave. We won't keep Dr. Steve anymore. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next week. And as always, remember to always be dabbling.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite world-famous host, Stuttering John. Thanks for watching BeDabblin Live with El Horrible. Leave him a voicemail anytime, and we'll play it on the show. 973-440-9770. Follow at El Horrible on Twitter at BeDabbler. Follow OJ on Twitter at Obnoxious John. Till next time, BeDabblin.
World Order. By Brennan. TWO.
If you guys aren't enjoying this, let me know. We'll do something else.